what you're hearing right now is the crickle crackle of my knuckles. Let's see how the neck sounds. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Oh, there, that was all the neck. Ladies and gentlemen, I am okay. And it is currently Wednesday, September 14th, 2011, and this is Day 9... Oh, Day 9 Daily, number 346. It got cold in here. Oh, shiver. Burr. Oh, God, thank God those didn't appear. Whoa! Hey, it's good to have you guys here. What's going on in the world? I got a haircut and discovered that I have a very pear-shaped head. I'm hoping to take up the art of swimming, so that way I can begin to do the art of slimming. So, I'm going to fix my pear-shaped headness as soon as I possibly can, but I've got a lot of dailies to do, and I got a lot of work to chug through, and I love the work that's coming up. I'm actually going out of town tomorrow morning, so there might not be a Thursday daily. I'm going to try to record one tonight, but I have a lot of stuff to get through, so if it doesn't come up, then kind of stinks. Topic of today is going to be Terran versus Protoss. We haven't gotten the chance to look at a lot of Terran lately. Well, I haven't got a chance to do a lot of anything lately because of my internet not working so well. So I got a couple of games of DDE versus White Raw. Per usual, my replay source is sc2rep.com. And we're going to watch two games of this Terran versus Protoss, both from DDE, or both looking at it from the Terran aspect, analyzing the Terran, how can we do Terran versus Protoss and that sort of thing. But also, I'm deciding on something a little interesting today. We're going to watch Game 1. It's a little bit of a longer-ish game. It's about 25 minutes long. We're just going to watch that, and we're going to analyze it. We're going to do the early game, take a break, and then we're going to wrap up in the end game and talk a little bit about TvP. And then when we watch the second game, what I want to do is I want to first watch it from the Protoss point of view. Just from Protoss, just from White Raw's angle. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing, when we're worried about stuff, what we're thinking about. And then when we come back for part 3, we're going to look at what happens as a Terran buddy when we rewatch that same replay from the Terran's point of view. Maybe from Protoss's aspect, we learned, wow, this is a part where I was feeling really, really nervous. But I didn't really have to. That kind of thing. So let's go ahead and pop on into things with a little bit of White Raw versus DDE. I know it says Meaty Owl Legs, but that is in fact not Naniwa. That is just Naniwa's old European ID. So let's move it on. Move it right along. I'll talk a little bit about Fun Day Monday and Newbie Tuesday on the next part. But for now, I just kind of really wanted to jump into the game because I like this here, Terran versus Protoss. So there's a number of crazy shenanigans that you can begin doing now as Terran. It used to just be get those medevacs up fast, but now we're seeing more, I mean, obviously 1-1-1 style stuff. But, I mean, even if you're just saying, I want to go Marine Marauder medevac, you can open up 2 racks, you can open up early expand, you can open up early expand and get your upgrades early, open up early expand, get your ghosts early, go early expand and get your medevacs really early. There's a ton of different openings you can do as Terran. And likewise, we're seeing Protoss do a whole bunch of weird things. Where sometimes you'll see the 1 gas early expand. Then other times you'll see 3 gate and then early expand. You'll see a 1 gate, 1 robo early expand. There's a whole bunch of different crazy stuff that you can end up doing. And in particular, the one very high level thing that we're seeing a lot of players do is find the cracks in between strategies and living in that space comfortably. My God, are my eyes really that red? Wow. Been having dry eye problems lately. I don't know if it's like the air in LA. I guess my face doesn't like sand and pollution. Ugh. So, let's talk about 2 different strategies, right? Let's talk about something like going 3 gate. Or actually, let me do the example that I've been seeing recently. Let's talk about a 1 gateway with 1 gas and then expand. So that's this little tent peg. And then getting 2 geysers and 3 gates and a bunch of sentries and then expanding. These are 2 different things. So again, 1 gas, expand, 2 gas, 3 gate, expand. Right? These 2 little things. What was really, really, really common for pretty much all of time is to just think of these as that's it. The only way you can be doing it in between is maybe if I did a 2-gate expand, because there's a 1-gate and there's a 3-gate and this sort of thing. But what we're seeing players do is something that intuitively seems a little off, but if you think about it really hard, it's actually okay. And that's where they start to go down one path, but then don't even use what they created, or they cancel it midway through. Specifically, and when you hear the examples, it'll make a lot more sense. Specifically, we're seeing Protosses do things like take 2 gas and then not use 1 at all. They take 2 gases, and in case they're worried about some pressure, then they'll put guys in both geysers and get the sentries up. But if there's no pressure coming, they'll pull all the guys out of gas and then immediately take an expansion. And again, you're noticing the in-betweenness. Well, I should either get a geyser and use it, or not get a geyser. I shouldn't get a geyser and not use it. And players are finding out that this in-between area is really good. In Protoss vs. Protoss, I've seen a lot of players build 2 gateways and then build another 2, so they'll be at 4 gates. But while gateways 3 and 4 are building, they'll be scouting around, and if they don't see the opponent trying to come in at them, they will cancel those 2 gateways and immediately build a robo. Doesn't that seem kind of weird to you? Doesn't that seem a little bit odd and unusual to you? Well, kind of, but then when you think about it, and you go, oh, well, I guess that is true. I'm only building these 4 gateways for defense, and if I find out you're not 4-gating, I'm not going to be using my 4 gates because I want to go blink stalkers, you know? So there's these really weird, nutty ideas that people have been playing around with a lot, and I want to just touch on some of those. I would probably say for anyone other than Grandmasters, that doesn't really crop up as frequently, but I think it's an area that people are going to begin exploring. Something where a player will get a reactor really fast and then not do anything with it. Where Protosses will get gateways and not do anything with them. That's kind of common. But then other things like getting an additional geyser and doing nothing with it. I guess the only bad one would be is if you took an expansion command center and then did nothing with it. The expansion command center sat there doing not a damn thing. Alright, so sweet. We now have DDE. Let's actually talk about the game. This is actually a little bit unusual. This is actually something I guess I would probably zoom in on. Look at this. Not making, not building, not building, not building, not building. Why are we not building? What are we not building for? What the fuck's with the not building? What is that? Is he going to be building another barracks? There's one Marine going down. There is one Marine popping up right now. And indeed it is going to be a 2 barracks thing. But I really dislike that DDE didn't make the Marine. I really dislike that a hell of a lot. And to go into this idea, my words aren't coming to me as cleanly today. To go into that idea, I always say that if you're focusing on the element of surprise, something's going wrong. If you're saying, haha, I'm going to surprise him, and that's what's going to be awesome, then that's actually shitty. Because what good players do is they already know all your possibilities, so they're kind of prepared for everything. What you want to do is have strategies that have this weird balancing to them. Where, for instance, if you build this one Marine, this is one of the simplest examples in the book. If I build this one Marine, and I kill off this probe, and then I keep 2 Marines here, he doesn't know if I'm going for a fast factory. He doesn't know if I'm going for a second barracks. He doesn't know if I'm going for a tech lab. He just doesn't know because everything I've been doing is normal looking and has like 4 different big deviations from it. But this not building the Marine immediately makes me kind of go, whoa, is he maybe building a barracks somewhere else? I mean, sure, he could possibly just be like super awful, but that's somewhat uncommon. So, all right. Let's see what DDE sees. He's just poking around this base, getting a good little examination of everything that goeth on. And this build order, I'm a little torn on. Is he actually getting the, wow, a 2 tech lab push? This is really cool. Part of the reasons why I chose DDE to look at is that DDE does a little bit off-the-cuff stuff. I mean, you'll see a lot of people do a barracks reactor, barracks tech lab. And that's what they do. Or they just copy the early expand build that Bomber does. A lot of copying going on. DDE kind of freeforms it. He kind of does a little bit of winging it. So that always makes him a very, very interesting player to end up watching. So now I can see a little bit why that second barracks was hidden and why I was getting that extra tech lab so fast.
So we're seeing White Raw build down now 3 more gateways. To talk a little bit from the Protoss point of view, this is again one of these like tweener type things. You're noticing that he's not taking this gas, but I've actually seen White Raw do this exact play before. He's going to get these 3 gateways, and he's going to build the mineral heavy units, the Stalkers and the Zealots and that kind of thing. Less emphasis on the sentries, because let's be honest, sentries suck out here. And then he's going to proceed to not use these gateways so much as he takes an expand. Here's the really late gas guys are going up. Whenever you do a push like this, the earlier the push you do, obviously the more damage it kind of needs to do to justify it. The most extreme being like if you 6-pool, you better do the most damage possible because you don't actually have a follow-up. Very subtle things can make good strategies completely fall apart or become brilliant. And these are the 2 things that are going to make this strategy work. I want you to just come back for a brief moment and look at this setup right now and imagine if it was a Marine and 2 Marauders kind of sneaking up. You throw down the force field, you kill off the Marine, and then boom, you're done. And he can't actually see up to the high ground. But these 2 SCVs are going to allow this strategy to be up on the high ground. This is actually quite a bit of health, 90 health total. I mean, it's essentially the difference between having 1 Marine and 2 Marauders versus 3 Marines and 2 Marauders worth of health. And it's this moment right here. We're actually going to see this attack do a good bit of damage. Let's just go ahead and check it out. See, we see the SCVs lead to give vision. The Marine and the Marauders all safe because these vulnerable SCVs are giving the vision. And hey, look, we got the force field down. But, assuming DD doesn't mess this rally up anymore. But now we have the opportunity to be aggressive again with these 2 SCVs. And look at this. They can repair each other. Is this not stupidly subtle and unbelievably awesome? Again, we're going to see the SCVs are able to lead a little bit. I actually think that these guys should have just been about there instead of here. I mean, this much distance is pretty significant because I'm basically making a box the size of a force field. That distance should be there, so that way the SCVs can be trapped up on the high side of the force field and repair each other. But this is sweet. And so one of the things that I just want to say right off the bat, if you have a style of play that you like let's say you really like being aggressive early on, try to do really subtle things to try to make it work. So we're seeing DDE actually get the chance to push up here, do himself some damage. But of course, White Raw knows how to have 1 base and defensive. And of course, White Raw, remember this mineral buildup I was talking about? And remember this? Remember me saying that this was a really common thing? You take the assimilator, and if you're worried that you need it, then you can put guys in there. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong with being like, yeah, I got this. This is going to be no problem. I want the minerals. Shoving them in there. This is increasingly becoming more popular. This tweenedness. Tweenedness. There it is. There's the command center going down. So, at this point in time, I want to talk a little bit about the goals of the attack. We've only really looked at the first 7 minutes of the game, but already there's so much interesting stuff that went on. First, this attack came in, did a little bit of damage. It looks like White Raw barely defended. And now DDE is just continuing to make Marauders. I mean, he's taking an expansion. And what I don't want you to do is stay at this far distance zoom out level, where you're like, alright, he opens with Marauder attacks, and then when he has enough money, he expands and just kind of keeps doing Marauder attacks. I want you to zoom in more. It's when you zoom in that you can, perhaps find something like that SCV attack that was so brilliant. The pair of SCVs repairing each other. But in particular, the one thing I want to focus on right now is that what is happening right now, these Marauders are different Marauders than the ones that we saw just minutes ago. The new Marauders are containment Marauders. Actually, let me try to see if I can pop to... No, I actually can't. I actually have to times 8 it. Sorry, when you rewind replays, it will only let you go in 2-minute increments, that dastardly replay design. Yeah, this push is actually designed to bust up the ramp and deal damage. That is the purpose of this push, and it is important that you know that that is the purpose of it, is to poke up here, to pick off units, to actually do a lot of damage. But now what's going to happen is now that he has broken up and he's getting more information, he actually sees that there's 3 gateways here. These next Marauders, in my eyes, these Marauders' goal is not to break up this ramp. And why is that? Because at 6 minutes and 30 seconds, Protoss has just finished Warp Gate research and has enough stuff. The previous push came before them. Right now, the Marauders are more of delay expansion Marauders. And that is an important but subtle difference. That the early game for our Terran player, it was about trying to bust up here, and now it's not. It is not anymore. Incidentally, the zoomed back statement is the same. He has 2 barracks making Marauders. Blah. But if we actually try to zoom in more, like, notice that he's trying to do this little pushing, but he's not actually willing to commit as much. And this moment in gameplay right here is, I think, one of the most misunderstood things that happens in the early game. Sure, he's pushing, as he was before, but he's just getting a little bit bold with his Marauders. The goal no longer is to break up there and to kill off sentries and to do a ton of damage. The goal still here is to try to delay this expansion. And now that it looks like we can't run, this is just smart suiciding techniques. Target firing the Stalkers, taking them down. And also from a Protoss point of view, I just want to point out, Stalkers and Zealots kick ass even without sentries early game. They really super kick ass. So now we are DDE. How the hell do we follow it up? Obviously, getting an expansion, I think that's pretty normal. I think no one would debate here. Getting ourselves a bunker up, well, we just lost a lot of units. I think that there's no debate here. Well, actually, DDE pulled his SCV off mining to be able to build this bunker. I'm not so sure how much I like that. But I want to ask the following question. Why does this follow-up with a lot of barracks make sense? Now, there's one reason I'm going to say right off the bat. Because he had money, right? He had money to spend. He had money to burn, baby! Why not burn that money on something that costs only money, like a barracks or a bunker? What's wrong with that? Well, that's fine. But I just want to note that because your economy allows for it, still doesn't answer the question of why would I want to do that. Let's go ahead and take some questions, or take some comments from here. Let's go ahead and take some comments. Why would it be smart right now, upon this barracks aggression, to be able to, after this barracks aggression, to be adding on 4 barracks? Normally you see 3 barracks, and people text straight to the medevac. Normally you see 3 barracks and expand, and maybe people text straight to the upgrades. Let's see here. All right. It appears some people are behind in the chat, so I'm asking. Boom, boom. Okay, so people saying he's only on 1 gas. Well, you know, technically, we could say something like, maybe he should spend that money getting a 2nd gas and just proceed normally. Again, our economy allows for us to go barracks, but it doesn't restrict us to just going barracks. Let's see here. Okay, so here's Slash Facepalm says that more production, he feels safe. That is part of it, right? Like, part of any strategy is like, well, I'm doing this because it will allow me to stay alive. That is a decent reason. I just lost my whole army. Shit, I better get more barracks up so I can rebuild. Normally, when you go 3 barracks, you have a timing attack as you're getting up to 5 barracks. But here, we went 3 barracks, and we just lost all our shit. So 4 barracks kind of helps us catch up. Okay, so FF says Protoss only has gateway units for the immediate future. That's very, very close. That's very, very close. There's other things like Comanche is also onto it. Protoss doesn't have an expansion yet. You know what? Try's nice. I like that. No Colossus. Bam! I really, really like that. It's the combination of my opponent doesn't have an expansion and seems to have only gateway units, therefore leads me to conclude that he cannot possibly be getting something scary like Colossus up really, really fast, or Templar, or Dark Templar. Maybe DTs, but, you know, none of the big wrecking balls of early Marine Marauder forces, especially low on sentries. Low sentries, low Colossus, no Void Ray tech incoming. Sweet. You know what? I really like this transition a ton, because what are we going to be up against? Stuff that we're going to be very comfortable continuing to attack. That is the big thing to note. Again, What am I exploiting with these barracks? Well, I'm exploiting the fact that I know he's not going to have that much. He's only going to have gateway units, and considering I can get the combat shield and the stim decently quickly, I can actually do a follow-up push if I'm DDE here. And I particularly like this example because not many people go for this sort of 2 barracks push. Not many people do. And try to break up here. And of course, not many Protosses are like White Ra and will be going 3 gate, no sentry. That quite honestly is effed up, right? But in this unusual situation, we can still say something simple as he will have no Colossi. He will have no sentries. Marine Marauder pressure feels good. And likewise, we can sort of justify, oh, this engineering bay makes sense defensively. Sure, I can get something like a missile turret. Ooh, that was tough. You can get a missile turret up. But also, sort of in a more consistent sense, yeah, I'm going to be able to upgrade my Marine Marauder force. It's going to be getting big anyways. And now we see more Bunker go down. He may have seen something on the mini-map, but I don't care too much about looking into that, because this is pretty typical. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a brief break. I'm going to go refill on delicious, wholesome water on this cup that has a delightful photo of my roommate. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and just finish this. Ugh. Look at me. Look at me. Pay attention. Don't look over there. There's nothing interesting over there. When we come back, we're going to finish up this game and then pop into game number 2. So see you in a sec. See you in a sec. You all so pretty. Doo-doo-doom-doom-doom.